How's it hanging, YouTube? This is King of Feral Imps, and I'm here with the deck I decided to try out. This is a Thousand Eyes Restrict deck. Now that is finally off the ban list, sadly only at one, but you can still sort of make a deck about it. I sort of briefly mentioned the crazy idea of just teching it into any deck that utilizes instant fusion, and some of the usefulness if you do something really specific with Umbral Horrors, which if you haven't seen that vid, go ahead and check that out. But I decided, you know what, why not make a completely dedicated deck to it? Now I'm going to go over this deck. It's kind of going to be a discussion, hopefully similar to what I did with the Umbral Horrors recently. So be sure to stick around, leave a like if you like this abomination being back here in the TCG. So first of all, playing through Relinquished, because basically this is Relinquished, and actually reading Relinquished's effect, it's actually pretty similar to Thousand Eyes Restrict. Of course, Thousand Eyes does have the advantage of also, while its face up stuff can attack, but for the most part, Relinquished is good. Ritual monster, you can summon it with Black Illusion Ritual or anything else that allows you to, and then once per turn, take one of your opponent's monster, equips it, gets its attack and defense. And then it's got a fancy little thing that, wait, what's it say specifically? While equipped with that monster, any battle damage you take from battles involving this card inflicts equal battle damage to your opponent. And also, if it would be destroyed by battle, destroy the equipped monster instead. So it's actually a really good card for it being a level 1 monster. Probably the best level 1 monster in the game, give or take. So basically, that's it. So in any, Relinquished deck, you could just play one and it works out. Or not even one, sorry. You could play... You could have a Relinquished deck utilizing 3 of this, focusing just on Relinquished, and it can work out. Sorry, that is what I meant. Aside from that, we're also using 3,000 Eyes Idol. This is a thing that you do not see. It's a level 1 puny, 0 attack, 0 defense. It is not good at all, but you need it because it's fusion material for Thousand Eyes Restrict. These two weaklings. Okay, this thing is actually really good. This thing is an absolute wimp. But you need to play 3 copies of it, at least in this build that I'm utilizing. So this is our, surrounding out the fusion material engine is 3 King of the Swamp, of course. King of the Swamp is really good. You can discard it to add a polymerization. And then, of course, he can act as one of the fusion materials. So say if you don't draw the Relinquished, then King of the Swamp works for it. Or if you don't draw that, King of the Swamp works out for it. So it's really good. He's a good card at 3. And then 3 Manju of the 10,000 Hands to kind of go with Relinquished, and then to add the Ritual spell because, yes, we are also playing the Ritual spell because if you're playing Relinquished, you can't, and especially because there's only 1,000 Eyes Restrict, 3 Relinquished works out as fusion fodder, and then you can also summon it itself, and it's actually pretty powerful that way. So that's pretty much it for the, let's call it the Thousand Eyes Restrict engine. Then I'm playing a bit of a Burning Abyss engine. Now, I'm not a huge Burning Abyss expert, but this is at least what I pieced together. Reading the effects, 1 graph because graph is good. Basically, I'm just playing a decent amount of Burning Abyss because they work out and they have some use in the deck. So 3 graph because graph is good. That's why he's limited. I guess that's all I can say. Because again, I don't know a lot about Burning Abyss, but for the most part, the effect is that he can special summon another one. Then Libic because he's got the effect that you can, when he's destroyed or sent to the graveyard, you get to special summon level 3 Dark from your hand, and its effect is negated. So one of these helps with Exceeding. 2 Scarm because Scarm searched all these out, and then a Tour Guide because Tour Guide search all of them out. Make a good rank 3 play. That's basically it for this. And again, I don't know a lot about Burning Abyss particularly, but this is the mini engine that I'm using, and it works out, and I'll kind of talk about that a bit more later on. Yeah, that's about all I have to say about this. Oh, and of course, because that one Djinn is limited, so we can't exactly do that whole Tour Guide search the Djinn, use the Djinn for Relinquished, especially because Relinquished isn't exactly the main focus of the deck. But I mean, I guess you could play one of the other Djinns, the one that isn't the ones that you can play. And then, of course, for the Relinquished engine is, okay, I don't even know this guy's name, Jizukaru, sorry, I'm having trouble reading this on low quality DN. But basically, the Star Destroying Kaiju. This is the biggest Kaiju that there is as far in terms of attack. And of course, the reason you play it is because it's an easy summon, gets rid of problem stuff on your opponent's field, and then you can go ahead and scoop it back up with Relinquished or Thousand Eyes Restrict, and then have a nice 3,300 monster on your side of the field. And of course, you only need 2, but I guess you could up it to 3 if you want. But for the most part, that's what he's there for. And again, if your opponent has a weak monster, you can go ahead and give him a big one and then just take it right back. And then rounding everything up at 1 BLS, because we do play a fair amount of darks. All of the fusion materials are dark, except for King of the Swamp. Manju's a light. And then actually Jizukaru. This guy is a light. And then, of course, the Burning Abyss are dark. So BLS helps because it's just last-minute stuff. That's all for the monsters. For spells, of course, 3 Advanced Ritual Art. Now, Advanced Ritual Art as opposed to Black Illusion Ritual because, since it's a fusion and we have to use this Wimp, I figured, Advanced Ritual Art, it at least lets you tribute from the deck. It does have to be normal monsters and they do have to add up to the level exactly. But hey, wouldn't you know, that happens to be level 1, that's level 1 too. So it works out. In some builds, I was playing at least 1 copy of this in the deck for that off chance, which you definitely can, and I would recommend maybe at one point I did, maybe you can take out, I don't know, something later for at least 1 Black illusion ritual, and then playing 4 ritual spells isn't bad because you do have a chance to draw into them. And then the way that I built this deck, it works out. So from there, just 3 polymerization, of course, because you got to fuse these guys together, and then you can always search them out with King of the Swamp. So it's definitely useful. 2 Allure of Darkness because we have that now. It's not a bad thing if you have to banish a Burning Abyss, or if you banish either one of these guys, no big deal. And then, of course, it did happen while I was testing this deck that I whiffed on this and had to discard my hand, but it wasn't that bad. Then 2 Twin Twisters, sorry about that. Of course, you can discard their Burning Abyss, so they like being discarded. Anything else is fine because in a way you can sort of use it later, and then if you have extra polys you can do that, or if you do end up playing like more than 3 ritual spells, then you can go ahead and discard those, and it's all fine. It's just mainly for destruction because if you're able to clear your back row and then bring out the big guy here, or the little big guy, then you could do some decent damage. I am trying out 2 Recurring Nightmare. And what this does, it says select 2 dark monsters with 0 defense in your graveyard and return them to your hand. So eligible candidates are Relinquished, Thousand Eyes Idol, and Thousand Eyes Restrict. 0 defense. Now that kind of gets around playing only 1 copy. So interesting things you can do. You can advance Ritual Art discard your idol, summon your Relinquished, have him wreck for a bit, and then if say Relinquish gets destroyed, you can go ahead and Recurring Nightmare, add both these back to your hand, and hey, if you have a polymerization or a King of the Swamp, you can go ahead and fuse right there for Thousand Eyes Restrict. Or let's say you already go for your Thousand Eyes Restrict, right, and he ends up getting destroyed, so you can go ahead and Recurring Nightmare, add this back to your extra deck, add this back to your hand, and you can do some decent damage. So this is one of the ways getting around of having only 1 copy of Thousand Eyes Restrict, as well as these guys going to the graveyard. And like I said, of course, with Twin Twisters, it doesn't matter. Now, the problem is with this, it does need to be 2. It does not say up to 2. At one point, I was trying out this card right here, Dark Eruption. It only lets you target 1, but it says with 1,500 or less attack. So that does count the Thousand Eyes Restrict as well as the Relinquished and all these guys. And it also counts, most of your Burning Abyss, actually all of them. So it's pretty useful in that sense. But it is only 1, and going, Recurring Nightmare to bring back 2, that's actually really good because this, it's like a 1, it's a 1-for-1. It basically +0. This at least is a +2, activating this. So I mean, you could play a mix of them. I was doing that at one point, but this is what I'm using right now. This deck works so far, which let me say that. 1 Soul Charge, of course, Soul Charge is good, and it doesn't matter if you if you Soul Charge, bring back your fusion material guys, and then poly for a 1,000 Eyes. It doesn't matter if you can't attack as long as you can absorb something big with him. Then 1 Preparation of Rites, of course, just lets you add Relinquished, and then you can also get back any ritual spells from the graveyard. So it's pretty useful in that sense. I guess gets around doing that 3 because again, if you're really lucky, you can summon Relinquished 4 times in this deck. So that's pretty cool. 3 Call of the Haunted, of course, getting around the whole Thousand Eyes Restrict being at 1, and the Relinquished. So you can do some pretty neat plays with that. After that, Solemn Brigade, 1 Warning, 2 Strikes. I found out the most problematic thing was that they just destroy 1,000 Eyes Restrict with a monster effect. So this takes care of that pesky little thing. And then, of course, Warning is in a way similar, but yeah, also stops like spells and traps that would summon them. So they're all, yeah, it's pretty good. That's it for the extra deck. Now I will say this card, Pre-Preparation of Rites, is a really good card, but however, this deck that I've built right here is TCG. As you can see by that, it's not like currently this is a card that they only have in the OCG. We don't have it here yet, but we will soon. And once we do, this is going to be the best thing. And then when you have this, you're gonna have to play, the Black Illusion Ritual to go with this, because it does specifically say ritual. Let's see. Yeah, you have to add the ritual monster and its specific spell, so you're gonna have to do that, but I'll go ahead and cross that bridge when I get there. As for the extra deck, just the star of the show, the 1,000 Eyes Restrict here, 2 Dantes, 2 Downers to rank up on top of these, Alucard to pop stuff. Alucard is pretty useful because pop stuff, and then you can take care of your the monsters with this thing. Yeah, Dullahan because level 1s, 2 Leviair just because. Let's see, we do play Allure and we do play BLS, so this does help. Say you happen to banish one of these. I do think this has to be ritual summoned first before you can special summon it, but I'm not completely sure. But say at the very least, hey, you banish this guy, you can bring it back with Leviair and do some damage. But for the most part, with BLS, because if you already do summon this properly and it goes to the graveyard, banish it, then I do believe that, with Leviair you can get it back and do some damage, even with this. And if by chance this happens to get banished by some other way, then at least you have a decent way to bring it back. And 2, just to be safe. And then, of course, because, I don't know, I think I was having trouble filling this up. Mech-Whipped Engineer, Leviathan, Giga Brilliant, Fortune Tune, 1 Slacker, of course, level 1s. And then the Phantom Knight Brack Sword. So the extra deck, nothing really important. All you need is, of course, the 1,000 Eyes Restrict. And I would I would recommend at least 1 Alucard, 1 Leviair, and 1 Dante. So you could pretty much have a full extra deck with only like 4 cards in there. This is all you need, really. That's pretty much it for the deck. There are some other things I would like to say. I would like to mention that in testing, for the most part, I was able to draw first turn 1,000 Eyes Restrict in this deck. And, it did some pretty decent damage. Now, the only problem is you need like a strong follow-up. So, of course, that's why, this little rank 3 engine is here. And again, it's rank 3 specifically just because these guys can't special themselves. They are dark, so they help with the Allure of Darkness. And a Leviair is pretty helpful to get back banished stuff if you need it. And then Alucard is just good at popping set stuff. It happened that on the 1 game, second turn, I made an Alucard and a 1,000 Eyes, and my opponent just quit because I got, what is it? I popped his like 1 back row. I had this, I mean, even though this can't attack, but I did use this, and I was playing against Cosmos, so, I was able to take his Dark Destroyer, but because this prevents your opponent from attacking, and since it was already pretty big since I absorbed the Dark Destroyer, I'm guessing he just did not have a lot, or he just did not want to deal with it, because this card is so good. There is a lot that I need to work on. I happen to see one build utilizing Safe Zone, I suppose, to protect the 1,000 Eyes or to protect this. The only problem is with 1,000 Eyes is that it's the only thing that can attack. So if you Safe Zone it, you're not going to have a good time, because all your opponent has to do is just not play anything, and then they can effectively win if they can stall you out, or they can just wait until they have an out to Safe Zone, because there is an out to Safe Zone. Even when you Key Beetle Safe Zone, there's an out to it. I'm not going to tell you because you're going to use it against me, but yeah, I don't like it because, then we run the risk of losing the 1,000 Eyes Restrict. But I feel like this is fine. Just summon it once, you can do some decent damage. That's, the main reason I added the BLS, because you need a good follow-up after this, because, I mean, even though this card is really good, by itself, it's not going to do much. And RIP everyone who didn't pick one up, because it's already $80 at high. But either way, this is the deck. I think it works out. Again, it's basically just a Relinquished deck, but it does utilize some other, extra fusion stuff, some personal gimmicks and other quirks. But yeah, this is pretty good. It will change. Like, for the most part, it's going to get crazy once we get this, because then we can, then Relinquished is just much more consistent by itself. And then, you know, you can say maybe just tech a King of the Swamp, or just maybe triple King of the Swamps. You won't even need this guy, just because you'll be able to get this so consistently, maybe just 3 King of the Swamps as extra for, you know, just 1,000 eyes, and then just make this guy the star of the show. But for the most part, both these guys are the stars of the show, because they're practically the same thing, just a small one and then a big buffed one. That's about all I can say for the deck. It has been very fun testing it. You should definitely check it out. Of course, I'm not the best deck builder, so go ahead and make any other sort of changes that you have, any other ideas, anything that I can improve on for this specific build. But I will say it does work. It is fun. It doesn't always win, but at the very least, it's I've been able to summon Thousand Eyes Restrict very consistently and able to get its effect off very consistently. You know, without having to do the terrible instant fusion to summon it, which I don't get. Anyway, if you enjoyed the content, remember to subscribe. Also leave a like and a comment to show your support. I just want to mention that I do have 2 other channels. Before I forget, I have a Pokemon channel called GatorX, and I am working on some new content for that, because I have not put up anything on there in a long time. I do have my other channel, Josh the Emperor. I do some cool stuff. I do like movie reviews, trailer analyses, parody stuff, which has been really fun as of late. Recently, I did see the Jungle Book movie, and I did make a review on that, and it's a little flashier than my other reviews, so that's sort of going to be the standard for those. Let me know if you like those, and yeah, go ahead and watch them, because if you would like to see my creativity continue to flow and to grow and continue to feed it and nourish it so that I can make good videos on here, definitely check it out. Anyway, this has been King of Feral Imps. Have a nice day.